Financial Peace Plaza. It's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I am Dave Ramsey, your host, and this is your show, America. Thank you for joining us. It is a free call at 888-825-5225, or you can go online at daveramsey.com. Click on Dave's email. Please keep those brief and to the point, and we will do our best to answer them as part of the show today. If you want to talk about life and money, this is your show. We're glad you're here. It is a free call, 888-825-5225. You see, this show is a little different. We take more calls than anyone else in talk radio because you're the records we play. Answering your questions serves other people. Inspiring you serves other people. Hearing out your gripes or complaints serves other people, and that's what we do here. That's why the show is so stinking popular. That's why our ratings are so high. Occasionally, I just take over the show because I act like I own it or something and just yak. But that's occasional. Most of the time, it's all about someone like Don in Midland, Texas. Hey, Don, how are you?
Hey, Dave.
What's up, man?
I'm better than I deserve as a fellow that I know.
Well, I'm in the same club. How can I help, sir?
Question for you. Spent the last couple of years buying back my wife's teacher retirement here in the Texas retirement system. And have a dilemma right now in that she has a daughter that is fixing to get married, or we have a daughter that is fixing to get married, and wants to put down $2,000 on a wedding venue to reserve it for a wedding next spring in April. And because of buying back this, we've lived on my income, and I've pretty well used up our cash reserves down to the point where we're at an emergency fund level. And to buy my Roths this year, I'm actually going to have to dip some into the emergency fund.
How much do you have in your emergency fund?
About 30 grand.
Okay. And what is your household income?
Between the two of us now that she has her income back, it's about $125 a year.
So you're finished then?
We're finished, but yeah, she has $900, I think, left to buy back into it.
Okay. Well, the venue is one of the cheaper things you buy in the wedding. What is the wedding budget, and how much of this are you putting up?
Well, the father of the bride is, I suppose, we're going to put up, we haven't got all of this nailed down yet, but suppose we're going to put up his share, and we are going to put up the other share, which is about a $30,000 wedding budget, is what they're talking about right now.
Okay, so you need $15,000 by a year from now.
No, by a year from now, we're going to need $15,000 by a year from now. That's true.
Yeah. Over the course of the next year, the expenses as they come in, as we buy the dress, as we do those other things, how dependable is her dad?
Well, I don't know. He talks a good game.
Well, I mean, you've been around this situation more than 20 minutes. Is this guy going to put the money up or not?
Probably not. Okay. I wouldn't expect all of it to be there.
When it's supposed to be. All right.
When it's supposed to be.
So you got one of two things. You've got to either manage her expectations or your cash flow to cover him.
Yes, sir.
You better have that in the back of your mind, having married off a couple of these things. They get real set on things once they're laid out in front of them.
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
And my wife and I are still discussing as to how we're going to fund all of this, and I'm saying we set up a budget, and we say this is our portion, and this is what we're going to fund you with, and go ahead and present that to her and say this is it, and no more. Okay. That would be the best. The girl
you can't do that completely. I tried it. And because you can imagine, I put a budget on something. And so what I found out I had to do was I couldn't just give a kid $30,000 in this case, or in your case, 15 of it, and say, that's all we're doing. We're going to put that in an account. Good luck. You have to help them manage it because they don't. know how. It's their first trip on a project this size. And so I required that we ran this like it was a business project, and then we put a budget on it, and this is how is the $30,000 going to be spent, where do those numbers come from, and then if you say, all right, we've got $5,200 in our budget for the reception, and the reception bid comes in at $8,000, you're going to have a few less crackers, baby.
My question, though, still, to go back to it, I don't know whether I stated it clearly or not. Should I dip into my emergency fund to fund this $2,000 at this point in time?
Yes.
Or should we wait? Go ahead and do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not putting you in danger. Dude, if you can't make it on 28, you're not going to make it on 30.
Yeah, that's pretty close. But I did not, I neglected one thing. I'm facing a major surgery in 2 months.
Okay. Does that mean you're not going to be working?
That means I'm not going to have an income.
For how long?
For about 2 months. For about 8 weeks.
All right. So what you've got to do is you guys have to sit down with, you and your wife need to sit down with your stepdaughter and her fiance and say, we've got to lay this out because this is not Cinderella, and there's some economic realities to this. We are willing to fund $15,000 under the condition that you guys have a written game plan that you're going to stick to that allows you to make your budget happen, and you have a, not to talk bad about your dad, but you have a backup plan in case he doesn't come through to pull the wedding off at the $15,000 level.
You bet.
Because we're not writing a check for 15 more. We don't have it. Because I'm going into surgery, we have very limited money saved. Because if you don't adjust that, let me tell you what's going to happen. Your wife is going to clean out your emergency fund for her daughter's wedding when her ex-husband doesn't come through.
I've got that.
This is how this is going to go down. If you don't set this thing up on the front end to go down a certain way, when it falls predictably apart, you're going to be the guy that writes the checks. And so I'm okay with a $15,000 wedding. I'm okay with a $30,000 wedding. If we have a plan and you guys make enough to do a wedding that size, if you want to do the whole 30, I'm okay. But you need to have a plan for what happens when he doesn't pay, and she and her future husband need to be grown-ups, not little kids standing there with their hands out for free candy, with a budget that says, this is what we're spending on the dress, this is what we're spending on the photographer, this is what we're spending on the reception, this is what we're spending on the cookies, this is what the DJ is costing or the band is costing, this is what we're paying the preacher and the piano player, this is what the venue costs. You're running a live event here called a wedding, and you have to run a budget on it, and you have to lay it out. Otherwise, the cost of what you spend will double or triple because no one has any boundaries. And so you've got to lay it out ahead of time, and you have to help them manage it. Because honestly, they don't know how to do something this size. You got to walk with them through the process. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.